Hey everyone, this is Matt and I'm here with Phil.
Hey.
And he has been playing the new Grid game. So this is the 10th Toka game and the 4th Grid game, is that right?
Is it indeed? Blimey. 10 Toka games. That makes me 58 years old, I think.
Best not to think about it. But it's good news that we're getting another Grid game. So tell us a little bit about it. What's the top line explanation of the new Grid?
So Grid has always been this balancing act between sim and arcade, hasn't it? Generally, they've been pretty successful at getting quite a malleable handling model. You can whack off the assists and treat it a bit more like a sim. It's never going to be Project Cars. You can make it quite demanding if you want, or you can have all the assists on, get an external sort of third-person cam and treat it like a Need for Speed game and just have it as a throw-around game. And this Grid does that. So it's kind of a reimagining of the first Grid, actually. That's why it's just called Grid. I don't know what they're going to do about SEO, but so it feels like that when you're handling it. It can be malleable. Realistically, it's more towards the arcade side of things than the sim, not least because the sim side of things has really ramped up in recent years since the last Grid game with, as I say, Project Cars 2, Assetto Corsa, Automobilista, etc.
So in terms of it being a throwback to the original Grid, that's one of the things people said about Grid Autosport. What is there here that's new or different?
Well, they're keeping their cards a little bit close to the chest when it comes to new features. I think they've got quite a long-term plan for that. In terms of how it differs from Autosport, I think the driver AI is definitely different, and particularly the teammate AI. So when you would give teammate orders in Grid Autosport, whatever you told them to do, and whatever their attributes were as a driver, they would just crash. Generally. You'd be like, oh, go on, overtake. You could see them, following an inch behind the car in front, they would crash. There's a teammate system now, and those teammates have a variety of different attributes that give them a different character on the track, but they are much more intelligent now. And in fact, the AI in general is just much better at sort of jostling with each other and making the race in front of you look a bit more convincing, I suppose, and like the AI is all racing itself rather than just sort of trickling around in procession waiting for you to pass it and pick up all the shiny trinkets at the end of the race. But there are things from the first Grid that I didn't see in this game. So the team management aspect, I really loved that in the first Grid. I don't think that is in this game to the same extent. You would finish each season of racing by going to Le Mans and doing a sort of a condensed version of the 24-hour race with this lovely day-night cycle. I don't think that's in this game either. So don't go into this one just because it's called Grid, as confusing as that is. Don't go into this one expecting all those same features.
In terms of feel, Phil, this is one of those things that's really difficult to describe, but I'm going to ask you to do it anyway. How does it actually feel to play? Because obviously that's the most important thing about racing.
Car feel.
Car feel.
Yeah, it feels really good. I played with a pad and with a wheel. I think I'm naturally drawn more towards playing with a wheel, and so I preferred it with the wheel handling. The balance is already just feels really good. A few of those street circuits, so that's another carryover actually. They're real tracks and they're also fictionalized street circuits, and they're really good at designing those street circuits. A few of them have really fast chicanes where you're throwing the weight of the car very quickly at really high speed, left to right and then back to left again. And with a wheel, you can really feel exactly where that weight is, and it's just mega satisfying to just hoy it round a chicane. You just feel like a boss. It's also pretty good with the pad, and I mucked around a little bit with some of the assists, whacked the traction control down and the ABS and things, and it definitely is more twitchy. You definitely have to modulate the throttle a little bit more, which again is a plus, making use of that accelerate pedal. So it does feel good. Again, I don't think it could be ratcheted all the way up to a sim level, ultra realistic, ultra demanding sim level. But you can make it a lot more like that than I think the default settings would suggest at first. But yeah, I was impressed, definitely, particularly with the wheel.
Cool. And in terms of, obviously you only got a snapshot of what's there, but in terms of things like variety of cars and tracks, how did that look?
There's a lot going on, yeah. The career mode is this enormous wall of events, and they comprise open wheelers, muscle cars, stock cars, GT cars, a lot of cars, and they're licensed as well. So that's a plus. And there are also there's kind of some esportsy tie-ins. I don't know if you can talk too much about that yet, but there are some interesting competitors and some interesting one-off events within that career mode. So yeah, lots of variety there. I don't think anyone will be bored, and it will certainly take a long time to get through that enormous wall of events.
Cool. So on the subject of that variety, Phil, did you get to play with any of the different types of car or not?
Yeah, I got stuck in with some open wheelers. They were nice and light and breezy, and actually they handle a bit like a kart more than a Formula One car. So they're not, you're not doing 200 miles an hour down the straights on them. They're more like a kart. But like super light, super responsive, really twitchy on the brakes. Good fun. Played with some stock cars, so they're really good on the street circuits where you're jostling a lot with opponents and doing a bit of damage, dishing it out, and also with some GT cars, so a Ferrari 488 GT1 spec, and that was really good. I think that was maybe my favourite of the day, and particularly with a wheel around some real circuits like Sepang, that felt really, really satisfying to get to grips with. It wasn't too demanding. It took you one or two corners to kind of get to grips with the handling, and then you're away.
Cool. And the final question, Phil, is when is it out?
It's out on the 11th of October 2019, Matt.
Perfect.
Not far off now at all.
Fantastic. Thanks very much for that, Phil. If you've got any questions at all about Grid, let us know in the comments below. And remember to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you know when our next video goes live.